you and Keyshia first started dating, it was a little bit, low-key. Nobody really knew too much about the two of you. And I understand that all kind of got kicked off. You were doing a radio interview, and the DJ asked you if you were single, and then, you were saying, yeah, I am, but not if Keyshia Cole calls me. What happened after that interview?
Well, see, I was just saying that because I thought Keyshia was beautiful. I wasn't saying it like I was trying to, like, reach out to her and get to know her. I was just saying, I just said the first, a name that I just was thinking. But then after that, we somehow had the same stylist who would pull us clothes and get us clothes, like, for, events that we would have to do. And then it just so happened that she knew I was single, she knew Keyshia was single, and she thought that, we would make a nice couple. And so she played matchmaker and kind of just played the middleman and put us together. I mean, gave us the opportunity to speak to each other. I actually text Keyshia, like, for a month straight. She wouldn't respond to me at first. But then after we finally got to speak, it was over with after that.
What was your first date like?
It was, what? You would think that because we both are, like pretty accomplished and successful, that we would be confident in meeting each other. But it was the exact opposite. We both were nervous. I know I was nervous, to actually see her in person. And then she said she actually drove around the block like 4 or 5 times before she actually stopped at the hotel. So she actually stopped at the hotel that we were staying at because we were going to go out to dinner because I had a game the next day that she was going to come to. And so it was kind of weird. But then once we saw each other, it was pretty easy after that.
Okay. So did you ever imagine that, from saying what you said on the radio and to having, like, your first kind of awkward date, that you would end up marrying her?
Well, from the first time I spoke to her, and we had a real conversation about everything that we wanted out of life, I think at that point I felt like that she was pretty much the one for me. We had a lot in common and a lot of the same beliefs. And so I think from the jump, though, I felt like, if it was going to be anybody that I married, I think she was it.
So, I'm assuming that you've seen her on her reality show before. From being on a reality show yourself, what is, like, I guess, the one drawback from being on reality TV?
You know what? I haven't found one. I think that, it could get a little testy because everybody, gets to see your life, and everybody is like have their opinion, on what you have going on. But I think that personally, if you're gonna do it, you have to be willing and ready to, accept everything that comes with it. And I think the reason for why we decided to do it was because we both are two people that come from real humble beginnings, and we just felt like showing people like real black love and showing people like, everybody goes through things and, everything, the whole ins and outs of a relationship. Like, no relationship is perfect. And I think that we weren't afraid of everything that came with it. So I wouldn't even say there was any negative to us doing the show. For me, I would just say the beauty of how so many people relate to you. I think people have a very big misconception of, like, professional athletes and singers, and they, like, put them on this high pedestal like they're not human. But one of the things that I think that our reality show shows is that, we human. Like, we kick it, we have fun, that's just us. And I think the fact that, I think people love how much they're able to relate to it. So I think that's I hear that all the time with everybody I speak to that's watched the show. So
beyond reality TV, do you think that acting is something that's in the works for you?
Well, I actually, like in college, I used to do a few things here and there, like took a few classes and experimented, and everybody I'm around always tell me, I should do it. But at this particular moment, my focus has always been basketball. But you never know. I could see this face on a TV, on a movie or something. Tyler Perry doing it or something.
I hear that. Booby, that's your nickname. Where did that come from?
Man, it came from my grandmother. When I was young, it was just a nickname that she came up with from me. Everybody asked me to give them the reason why, and I deny that for the rest of my life. That's how I got it. But yeah, and I think right now it means a lot to me because she's passed away. And so that when people call it, like fans said at the games, and she's not here to watch me, it makes me think about her a lot. And I got a lot of love for anybody that calls me by my nickname, just through the respect for my grandmother.
I'm going to jump into basketball a little bit. Right now, your former coach, Mike Brown, is coach for the Lakers, and people are requesting that he be fired. Do you think that's a fair assessment of his coaching skills? No way. I just think that with in the NBA, when teams have like expectations like the Lakers have, the first person that's gonna get all of the scrutiny is gonna be the coach. Like no matter what, because that's just how it goes. But I think my years spent with Mike, he was a great coach here. He just in a tough situation, but it comes with the territory when you're gonna coach an LA team. Right. What kind of coach was he when he was coaching the Cavs?
He was a great X and O guy. Like he always had the plays and was good with the players, and everybody could relate to him. I just think that out there, they had like a lot of older guys. We had a lot of younger guys too. And so when you got older guys that's trying to win right away, and you got a coach that's trying to tell, these grown men like how they supposed to act and what they supposed to do, sometimes you get that fight back. And especially Kobe, Kobe's probably one of the greatest to ever do it. So it's got to be tough, coaching a guy like that at this level in his career.
Right. Do you think that is because, maybe everybody's bumping heads because, like, he's still new and they're still new to him, so it's kind of like trying to build that relationship as well?
Exactly. I think it's following behind a coach like Phil Jackson, and he let the players do their thing, and he won all these championships. So when you bring a coach in who's not an offensive mind like Phil Jackson was, and you struggling to score, and it's not Showtime basketball, it's not as fun to watch. Yeah, I think that's you could smell trouble if you're not winning. The only recipe for all that stuff is winning.
So do you think he'll get it together at some point in time?
I'm scared. That's what I got. Like, I hope he does. But, when you got a roster like he has with Dwight and Kobe and Nash, you would hope that the players could get it together without necessarily trying to put it all on the coach. You would think that, they could just get out there and get some wins just off playing the game.
Okay. So after LeBron left Cleveland, a lot of people were upset. Yeah. Clevelanders were upset. You had hardcore basketball fans that were upset. And, I'm not sure what your guys' relationship is like now because I know you guys were close when he, was on the team. Have you guys maintained a close friendship?
Initially, I was upset too. But I didn't like the way that he did it, and the way that I just didn't like the way it was handled. But after that, being as though he was like a big brother to me, coming into the league, we had a real sit down about it and just talked it out, as to what happened and why the decision was made. And since then, everything's been cool. Every time we step on the floor, it's still like, I want to rip his heart out. Like, I want to win. But other than that, out for the court, I'm still friends with his kids and his fiance and his family. We buried the hatch.
That's good. No grudges over here.
Right. At first it was, I wanted a piece of him. I think it was because he didn't tell anybody. And then just out of the blue, he was like, I'm leaving. And then he did it on TV. It was like.
Think that if he ever wanted to come back to the Cavs, that Cleveland will welcome him with open arms?
I think that's going to be tough. But fans are forgiving. And I think that over time, those wounds are healed. So I can never say never. But that's a tall order, though. I would love to see something like that happen, just to see how something like that could go down.